What up, everybody? Welcome back to our
Yep.
show. A little bit of bourbon talking, a little bit of. Hey, let me tell you about this dream I had the other day. So I had this dream, and so I actually talked about it with one of my colleagues. It's a psychologist. So I had this dream that would make a great screenplay. I wrote it all down in my journal and stuff. I was like, oh my god, just repeat it. And I loved parts of it. I was telling my mother about it last night because she stayed over last night because I made fish for Preston and his girlfriend. I assume that's what they are. God, I love her to death. She's a wonderful young lady. Her name's Daisy. And then my mother, I made fish and stuff for with bourbon glaze on top of it, pan seared salmon, and also red snapper. But anyway, enough about all that. So I had this dream. And so this dream was like I was having the other night. I woke up. This was, we'll say, Thursday of last week. Could have been Wednesday. It was somewhere around there, right? I woke up. I slept the whole night. Didn't even go up. I'm over 50, so I didn't even get to go pee pee or anything like that. But I woke up the next morning. I was soaking wet, right? I'm like, what the hell? Well, it's from this dream. So this dream was I was having this dream where it kind of started like the parts I
Were
remember.
you swimming in the dream?
You don't let me finish. I did do
Okay,
some. I'm a hell of a swimmer, but but I did. So in this dream, I remember it starting like in the 80s for me, right? And I know some of you guys might be listeners can't understand the 80s, but it was like in the 80s is where it started. And so I remember seeing my dad younger, like I remember him when I was a kid, right? And and then I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm living all this. And then it kind of, how your dreams go really fast. Believe it or not, you only dream approximately 4 or 5 times a night. And they're generally not more than 10 minutes a piece. But this felt like it went on the whole night. And it was like a reoccurring same dream. So what happened is I get into a point in my life and it was like, you messed that up. So back to the beginning or back to like the 80s, right? I guess that was my last save spot was, back in the 80s. But I kept going over it and over and over. And it was like constantly. And there was parts of it that I really cherished because, my father's deceased. And I was like, man, this would be really cool to see it's really awesome seeing my dad. Remember him how he was when he was young and stuff, right? Or younger, not right before his death. And so it was kind of beautiful in that way. When I was telling this to my colleague who has got a doctorate in psychology, he was like, your brain gets stuck because you have PTSD. And I'm like, I never even thought about it that way. You're right. Your brain does get stuck. And of course, my mom's like, she's like, well, your brain gets stuck because you probably got dementia coming on. I'm like, come on, old lady. Nobody's like, who asked you to play? And I'm like, that's not nice. But anyway, guys, share, subscribe to our channel, hit the notifications. And by the way, welcome being here. Be good to yourself. I'm having a little bit of Bardstown origins tonight. Black Label. I found it at this new place, another Patel place. They own all the Patels own like all the liquor stores in Tennessee, pretty much. And I found it, and it was. This is about a $39 is what it should cost. It was $59. No, it's $49. It should be about $39. And I think it was 50 with tax and everything, because here in Tennessee we have a consumption tax, which is 15%. I think it is. So I think it is 15%. And then, man, I had an awesome suits night on Saturday. We went to Circa.
Nice.
Great times. I try to push myself past the. I was like, Preston was like, I'm doing this coffee steak and 12-ounce ribeye coffee steak. And then when he got finished,
like a coffee rub on the steak. Sorry, I get distracted by that. I've had one of those before. They're delicious. Yeah.
And he was like, I forgot, Dad, this is our cow. And I forgot it was too. I forgot that I had a contract with those guys. But anyway, so we were eating the cows from my farm. But anyway, I had pork chop, and the pork chop, I've had it there before. Dude, it's like an inch and a half thick. It is so good. And it's so perfectly made. And it was amazing. The wine I had some wine while I was there. It was just really good. We had a lot of different things. We had dessert, so it was a successful suits night. And then yesterday, I wouldn't say was the best day I've ever had. But it was an okay day, I guess. And then last night was awesome seeing him. I love seeing my son. You know how I do. I love hanging out with him. And then, and I love to cook. You guys know that. By the way, fun fact, I got my bread maker. It came in today. It didn't come in the right color. I'm okay with that.
I didn't know you were getting a bread maker.
Oh, yeah, totally. Dude, okay. I bought more things off TikTok.
I understand you enjoy cooking.
See, that's how I know we're not the same. Jody bought a bread maker, you said?
Yeah.
All right. So it should be here Thursday. I bought a meat and bone saw in my butcher shop.
He just went Giancarlo on you, man. He just went.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying there is a difference. I mean, he's got a business doing this. I cook because I love to cook.
No, I know you do.
And I've been wanting to learn how to make bread, and then TikTok heard in my head and was like, dude, I got you a bread maker. And so it's pretty easy how everything works. And so you put it all in there. I can't wait to try it out. And then you put all the extra things and it time releases it when it needs to go into it. But I'm super stoked to try it. I haven't tried it. I just opened it up today. And that's when I realized it was supposed to be black to match all my other, like, I guess, utilities I have in there, like and it's white. So I'm not upset the Caucasian, but I wanted it to match my strong black folks, Anyway, guys, all welcome to the show. Let's talk bourbon.
Yeah, let's talk bourbon. Are you sure you didn't take an edible before this to celebrate?
No. I didn't. No, I'd already be drooling and stuff. I watched. I gave them to my dog. I gave them to my dogs yesterday, and my mom.
Those are good.
You know what's funny is my mom. She brings over. She had a husky as well named Izzy. Unfortunately, Izzy passed away within the last year. She got, I think she had a stroke, to be honest with you. And it just made it where she couldn't function. My mom was really close to this dog, but because huskies, you can't ever take off the lead. Like you just can't. They're just like little convicts, right? They're like perpetual, 2 to 4 year olds with ADD, maybe a little autism on the spectrum. And, but anyway, so I had already had this thing of like what I've always given the herbal stuff to my dogs. And I was looking in the little basket, and my mom had brought over, like, her dog must have been high all the time because she brought over all of this stuff. I'm like, who the hell brought all of this over? And so the dog must have been constantly high. So anyway, there you go.
Well, I am not drinking tonight because for this week, I am getting back into my fitness. So I actually got back into the gym today, walked 3.5 miles for my cardio, and I did weight for about an hour. So
nice.
That's good. I work out every day, but I try to keep my workouts.
Your screen went blank. I think we just lost Jody.
Yeah,
Jody looks like he just stroked out.
He does.
He's like,
Did y'all lose me for a minute?
Yeah, we did, and you pulled the best face. Like you were having a stroke. Like it was great.
Yeah, I was talking about stress. Anyway, I try to keep my workouts about 30 minutes long, to be honest with you. Maybe 30, 45, but about 30 minutes long. And I try to do a lot of higher intensity, kind of like workouts like I did when I was doing CrossFit all the time. First rule CrossFit, always talk about CrossFit. I was CrossFit instructor for many, many years. And
I'm just so happy you're not a vegan.
Oh, I could never. Dude, I could never.
No. Listen. No. It's not because of that. It's because we would never not hear about it.
No, I know. You'd be absolutely right. I don't think I could ever do that. I could never. First of all, man.
And I'll throw myself under the bus here. Vegans, CrossFitters, and atheists. We'll wait like all of 5 seconds to tell you about it.
Yeah. So for me, here's the thing. I could never be a Muslim or a Jew. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those people, but man, bacon is a huge staple in my house. And
it's like one of the only things I cook.
Yeah, and there was some there when I came over that day, just still sitting on the pan.
Yeah. Because I just finished.
I think I had one while I was there waiting.
Yeah.
Because Elizabeth.
Yeah, you did have bacon while I was there. Yeah.
The person that answered the door was like, I can't believe you showed up this early. I'm like, well, see, David should have told you I spent 22 years in the military and I'm never late to anything.
I don't like being late to anything either, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to show up 22 minutes early either.
I mean,
I hear 15 minutes early for work. Like
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Terrible.
I hear what you're saying. I really do. I want to make sure I clarify that. I hear what you're saying.
But I understand
I support
you're
what you're saying
that way.
But if you're not 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late. That's the way I look at things.
I understand. No, I understand. Because being late is the worst thing that you could be. Like I get that. Honestly, I really don't like being late because I feel like it doesn't respect the other person's time. Like that's really
I agree with you there. I agree with you.
Like for people who are chronic, and not everyone sees it that way. I understand. I had an ex.
Well, it's just like
she never thought about it that way. But I'm like, I don't think I'm respecting your time if I am showing up late to meet with you somewhere.
Well, I think you have to look at.
I try hard not to see it that way.
You have to look at tardiness a lot like being truthful. So like, and the reason why I say that is because if you can't respect someone's time, how are you going to respect someone's feelings? And meaning they're carried. So like one of my favorite quotes of all time is by this Franz Schubert. I think it's a German name. But it says essentially is happiness is being married to your best friend. Right. So I just think that's a really great quote. Right. And I used to have it above my bed, in my master bedroom and stuff of that nature. And I used to think it was just like, it was so cool. Now, to be perfectly honest, I've had that a long time. But I'm not going to let someone steal my favorite quote or one of my favorite quotes from me, if that makes sense, right? So I'm going to keep it. So I think a lot of times you have to, I think where I was going with that is, if someone, I don't know how you answer that. Someone were to ask you, hey, so where'd you get that? And you're like, it's one of my favorite quotes. I haven't found that yet, but I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you say. And I mean, you can always say, I bought that for us, or whatever, but that's a lie. But it's a lie, but it's not really.
You just say it's something I've always believed. You don't necessarily need like a big exposition about it.
You don't always have to give full information or full explanation, I should say.
Well, see, that's being omissive. And I'm not sure that's true. But anyways, get back to what the show is about tonight.
Right. Show topic. By the way, first of all, I am drinking Little Remus bourbon.
There you go. By the way, real quick, David has turned down like 42 invites this past week to have dinner.
Yeah, and do you know why that is?
I do know why that is.
I know you want to give me shit, but yeah. So my family came in. Well, not my whole family. My brother and his girlfriend came in town last Friday, and they stayed until Sunday. So I was basically kicking it with them all week. So, and I'm on call this week, so fucking great. So
yeah, I was going to invite you tonight, and I was like, I'm not going to do it.
I turned you down too many times. I understand. Next week should be better. Like seriously, and we need to hang out. But
you're welcome.
You know what happens
First
when I'm on call.
You're welcome on any day. The hardest days for me are, quite honestly, are Mondays. I generally get off work like right before the show, which is true tonight. I got off work right before the show, and so Mondays are pretty tough for me. The rest of the week, I can make it work, and definitely Fridays can make it work. But the anyway, let's get to the topic of the show.
Let's figure it out. Anyway,
what makes a daily drink?
First of all, what are you drinking? I
already done that. I told you I'm having Bardstown Origins Black Label.
I missed that. Sorry, you didn't hold up the bottle.
Then Billy, by the way, is not drinking because he has early days every morning this week. That's what he said.
That's right. So he's
drinking. Did I give a good elevator? Elevator speech for all that.
Yeah, let's get it.
We got it. So the topic, and we've danced around this topic before. We've talked about
but you asked it.
But it changes over time. Yeah, like what
you asked it differently. You said, "What makes a daily sipper a daily sipper?" That's different.
Yeah. So like, what makes something when you see it on the shelf? I go, I could pick that up as a daily sipper. Why is it that you keep going back to those daily sippers over all of the things that you probably haven't tried? Because I know we all three of us have a pretty like diverse experience of enjoying whiskey and rum and everything else, right? We've all tried a bunch of stuff. but there's so much more to try always. What makes you go, I'm going to path on trying something new to go with something that's familiar that I might be another daily sipper for me?
Well, so for me, Billy, were you getting ready to say something?
No, go ahead.
Billy, sorry, Jody, you go, then Billy, you go.
Yeah.
So for me, this year I'm trying something new. I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm choosing to do that this year, because I'm wanting to see. Well, I used to do that back in the day. I used to live paycheck to paycheck, right? Back in when I was first got out of high school and first in college and when I was in the military and stuff. And so I'm trying to live off of just not my investments, not my retirement, not any of that, just off of what I make. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that has been challenging. So the reason why I say all that is I am kind of a bourbon snob. I think we've all been there before and understand that that's who I am, right? But here's the big but. Ooh, I like a big butt. But anyway, the reason why I say it in that aspect is that for me, like a daily sipper, first, it's got to fulfill my palate that I want. So that's going to be something like a Buffalo Trace, a Bardstown, but like a entry levels, like Buffalo Trace, Bardstown Origins, something like that. Maybe I love Woodford Reserve. I think Woodford Reserve doesn't get the accolades that it should. It's really, really good, right? But and here's the final thing. It falls within my budget that I've set, right?
Guys, I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So it falls within the budget. So I think that's the big one for me. Now, what do you think there, Billy?
So for me, I look at it several factors. So I'm fortunate enough to where I get to enjoy my bourbon with my wife along with a good cigar. So I'm always constantly trying to give her palate something new. So I may have had a particular pour or bottle before, my wife hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So for a daily sipper, for us, it usually changes. I would say maybe every week or every other week. So my parameters, a certain price range. I don't get anything too high proof for her. I don't like stuff that's too low, and I don't like stuff that's going to send you to the moon. So those factors, also something that's readily available.
Well, I mean, that's a fair thing. What's wrong with an 80 proof? Like,
no, absolutely not. But like, my wife couldn't do a Stags Junior. Like, that would be too hot for her. Or E.H. Taylor might be too hot for her.
Which one? Barrel proof or
they're
all 100 proof, I think. Yeah. Well, they're all at least 100 proof, I think.
Right.
That's what it is.
So for me, a daily
barrel proof,
sipper,
I think it's 126 is what Chuck told us last week.
Yeah. So for me, considering all those things, like you mentioned, the Woodford Reserve, the Double Oak, my wife absolutely loves it.
Double Oak is good. I almost bought that today, and instead I happened to buy
it. She loves Buffalo Trace, but it no longer suits her palate because now she has too much experience and she knows what she likes. She loves Eagle Rare anytime. She actually likes Blanton's Gold. She's not too fond of the regular Blantons. But
I'm with you on that. The 105 is better than the 80 proof. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Or it's not 80 proof. It's 94 or 92 or something like that.
And she's not opposed to rye. She loves the Michter stuff. She loves the
Did you see
rye.
I killed that bottle of rye?
Yeah.
The 4-year Willet.
Yeah.
The green label or green top.
Yeah. So
and then I seen it in secondary for like $300. I'm like, are you serious? Who the hell is paying $300 for that?
So it and I also think a good sipper should be something that, and this is another thing for me that makes a good sipper. You should be able to enjoy it any time of year. Certain things call for summer, winter, spring. So, for instance, the Belvini, I'm a fanboy left and right. I mean, I put on some Sade and a bottle of Belvini, and it's
by the way, you see that Sade's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I put it in the chat. I absolutely did.
I did not
Along
see
with
that in the
I didn't
chat.
see it.
Sorry.
Billy Idol, Luther Vandross. Who else? It was a couple other people. But I'm very happy about Sade. I just want to see her.
I'm happy
speak.
about Sade as well, but I will tell you that I am a little bit bothered by how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, because Luther Vandross, who is awesome, Sade, who is awesome, both are not rock and roll.
Well, in that aspect, there's been a lot of talk. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I don't know if it should be
Motown's got a
called-
Hall of Fame.
What? Huh?
Motown and R&B have a Hall of Fame.
Well, so here's the thing, though. Music, I feel, is one of those things that you really can't discriminate against or be against based on the artist's race or sex, for that matter.
No, it's not that. I was talking about the music. I mean, like, it'd be like when Eminem, because you have to be 10 years. You have to be 10 years after, which I don't know how the Rolling Stones got in there, but you have to be 10 years after your performance to be able to get into it. And and I mean, there's some people that aren't in there. Ronnie James Dio in general is not in there. All right. Iron Maiden got in this year.
Right. And I agree. So what happens why a lot of people don't get in? Well, let me say this first. I actually agree. I don't think it should be called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It should be called the Hall of Fame.
I think they need to come up with another name for it.
Recording Artist Hall of Fame or something.
Something like that. But so here's my thing, though. I'm not against it staying the way it is. I'm not, because it's originally what it was called, but their doors have always been open to all genres of music. They've never discriminated.
No, that's true. They haven't. They haven't.
So
I mean, and it's not wokeism.
Said,
I think it's first of all, it's hard for me to look at artists and go, that's wokeism when you look at people like Sade or Luther Vandross. I mean, those are musicians. All right. They're real musicians.
And so you have it where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has inducted, if you just look at this year's class, Billy Idol, Luther Vandross, Sade, and Wu-Tang Clan.
And Iron Maiden.
So they did not discriminate in any way, shape, or form. And as a true music lover, I wouldn't call myself a musician, but I can appreciate all types of music. My brother got me into Metallica. I can remember watching Headbangers Ball and Yo MTV Raps in the same day.
Well, that's because they were on back to back. Definitely at night on Saturday nights. Yeah. I remember that. But so Metallica, are they great? Yes. Are they should they be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. I hated them right after the freaking And Justice for All album. Like, after that, excuse me, I'm verklempt. After the, I was just verklempt. Talk amongst yourself. I'll give you something to talk about. No, I'm just playing. That's from Saturday Night Live. How do you not know that? Mike Myers, when he was the church lady.
I remember the church lady.
I'm verklempt. I'll give you something to talk about. But anyway, I just didn't like. I don't like any of their albums from Black Album on. It's just, I don't know. Like, I remember James Hetfield and Jason Newsted saying when the Black Album came out, and they're like, "You sold out because you got Bob Rock to do your album, this, that, whatever." And by the way, Bob Rock's one of the greatest producers of all time, Hall of Famer, by the way, too. But and when he said that, I remember him saying it like so nonchalantly, and I was like, "Yeah, but us who started following you when you were in San Francisco playing these little dives, and these long ass songs that was just so much headbanging and metal. That's what we grew up to. We didn't grow up to. Don't get me wrong, great song, Inner Sandman. That's not what we grew up to, right?
Right.
And still, here's the resurgence of Inner Sandman. I wasn't a big fan of that song until it became like the stadium song for Virginia Tech. And I was like, when they play that, when it comes on, or when not Trevor Hoffman, he did Hell's Bells, but one of the relievers, by the way, the best reliever song ever, in my opinion, is Mason Miller for the Padres. And I know I'm biased because I'm a huge Padre fan. But when he comes on to Blind by Korn, oh my God. Like you have a slight ejaculation and you're just watching this and it's, it's awesome.
So, and also something that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame do when they're deciding who gets in, there's kind of two lists. There's a fan's choice, and then there's everybody who gets in. And it's almost like the NFL Hall of Fame. There's some great people who should be in the Hall of Fame in the NFL, hands down, and who are not, and some who took forever. So, for instance, New Edition did not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, but they made a statement, and the statement was all about who got in, not who didn't get in. They were just happy to be a part of the conversation.
I will be honest with you. I don't know how New Edition did not get in before Sade. Now, don't get me wrong. Sade is different and it's awesome. Right. But New Edition, dude, if you're an 80s, 90s kid,
and if you think about it, I think the only boy band before New Edition was Menudo.
You're probably right, because it was right after New Edition. It was Belle Biv DeVoe, and then then you had Shy, and then you had Jodeci, yeah.
Then you had the Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block, and
New Kids on the Block, and then Backstreet Boys, and then the other one too.
Right, but it was a thing that they could do with the boy bands. So they made a statement saying how they were just happy to be a part of the conversation. And they kind of ended their statement saying, just because we didn't get in this year doesn't mean we won't get in next year. So if there's a selection of 10 people and groups included.
See, that's the thing. I don't like the way they do the selection.
Right. And it's unfortunate, but it's the same thing.
1,200 people. It's 1,200 people that are not, well, so like, I have a problem with like the NFL and the way that also the NHL does it, and also how they do the Heisman Trophy. I have problems with all of that. Like, I just do. There's some Heisman Trophy winners that should have won that didn't win, right? And there's some people who didn't get the MVP for NFL and stuff like that shouldn't. Like, for example, the year that Peyton Manning and what's his name played for the Titans. Oh my God, I'm here in Tennessee. I forget his name. Steve McNair. They shared it that year. To be honest with you, Steve McNair was the better player that year. It shouldn't have been a shared.
Right.
But Peyton was good because he had freaking he had the Titans in a number the whole year. Like he beat them up every time. But but Steve McNair was the MVP in my opinion.
So I kind of have a problem with the selection process with all these different things when it comes
1,200 people, man.
The Hall of Fame, and I don't know if that. I don't think
different
that's enough.
Ages. Well, it's 1,200. It's 1,200 people, but it's different ages. So they have the largest group. The largest subgroup is 20 to 35, and then the next. And I'm like, those people don't even know music yet. I think your largest group should be 35 to about 55. I think that should be the largest group. Right. Because those people grew up in music, you know? And then here's the other thing too. If you're 35 to 55, some of the stuff you listen to was analog. You don't even realize it, but it was. And analog, if you can pick out the sound of analog, it sounds so much better it's so much warmer and thicker. Now, there's not as much digital aspects. The reason why Freddie Mercury is so awesome as a singer, because there's no auto-tune, there's no digital, this, that, and whatever. Right. That is him, you know?
And, you know, that's always been the battle between Prince and Michael Jackson. I think
Prince is a better musician.
Prince is 100 times better musician.
Better everything.
So here's the crazy part. The two most famous people in the history of time is Jesus and Michael Jackson. That's just pure fact.
I think you can make it. I would say the Beatles would be there too. And I'm not a big fan of the Beatles, but I'm just saying that I just wasn't a big fan of them.
But only somebody as gangster as Michael Jackson would be in the studio with the Beatles and then turn around and buy the Beatles the next day.
Well, not only that, and also be in the studio with Eddie Van Halen and get him to do Billie Jean solo for free.
Yeah.
That's pretty gangster.
You know, it's one of those
Did I
things.
say that right?
So
Gangster.
you did. So it's one of those things where, you know, the selection process I think is a little off, but I think they're set in their ways. I personally don't want the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to be changed, the name, because I think it's going to then tarnish what it stands for. When I always heard Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I never just thought rock and roll. I always just thought music. And the reason I thought that is because they never discriminated. They were never like, well, if you're country, you're not getting in. If you're hip hop, you're not getting in. If
Actually, I think country is not in there because there is a country music Hall of Fame. There is not. I don't think there might be very few. Like Charlie Daniels might be in the Hall of Fame of rock and roll.
And I'm not sure. You might have to. I think Willie Nelson was nominated once. So I don't really want the name to change. But hip hop, like I think Run DMC, LL Cool J, Jay-Z, now Wu-Tang's all in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And those are powerhouses, you know? So, you know,
so here's the people. I was wrong. Here's the people that are country artists that are in it. I was Google searching that. Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash.
Oh, so
do
Willie
believe
Nelson
Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
So of those, Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, I can see being in there. I don't think, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Dolly Parton and Willie Nelson should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, they're iconic, though. Like you can
Iconic
criticize
for sure.
You can criticize
like
their talent or whatever, but like,
no, I'm not questioning their talent. I'm just saying that they have nothing about them that's rock and roll.
The longevity, but that's why I'm saying why I don't want the name to change, because I understand what it's called, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they've never. And it's weird because there's been so much discrimination in the music industry, but them as a group have never done that. You know, now they've made some questionable choices. And for me, I can tell you this, I was just as happy that Billy Idol got in as Sade, because
I was upset about NXS was not it. They were passed on this time. And I was like, NXS, come on, man. They're freaking great. How are they not in there?
Right, and that's why I think the inexperience of some of the people who are choosing, you know.
And so then Ronnie James Dio and Dio, that's the one that gets me, man. That's the one that bites me. I'm not a big fan of Ronnie James Dio or even Dio, but if you want to talk about somebody that was a pioneer of, or I'm sorry, I'll use the term to use, David, iconic to the rock and roll aspect or heavy metal in general. I mean, he took over after Rainbow. He took over as the lead singer of Black Sabbath when they fired freaking Ozzy Osbourne. Think about that. You fired Ozzy Osbourne, and you're going to replace him with this guy who sings like this operetta type.
He did shoot his cats.
I mean, there were some problems with Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, so we're not contesting that.
So, so here's a question for
any other rocker, really.
For the panel sitting here tonight. So it's a boring Monday evening, not much going on. You're sitting at home. You pull out your favorite sipper, and you got some nice vinyl.
I have vinyl at my house.
I have vinyl as well. What sipper do you pull out, and what vinyl do you pull out, Jody?
If I'm pulling out a sipper, so we're talking.
Here's the thing. What do you choose first?
Daily sipper
or the vinyl? What do you choose first?
Well, it depends. So so that's a great question. So if I'm pulling out, for example, Fleetwood Mac, like Rumors or something like that, I'm gonna go with something a little bit heavier, maybe like an Oak Carter or maybe even some GTS that's BTAC. That's gonna be my starting drink, and then I'm gonna move to something more, equable. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm pulling out, for example, like Leonard Skinner, like I love listening to the Street Survivors album. It's one of my favorite albums to listen to. It reminds me of my pops. It was the album that they did before most of them died in the aircraft crash. And the reason why I have the one, I paid a lot of money for it too. But the one with Street Survivors with the flames on it, after the crash, they pulled all those back.
Yeah.
And took out the flames because many of them died of burning to death. Yeah. And so I have one of the ones I paid like $180, $140 somewhere on there for this vinyl because I wanted it with the flames on it because I wanted that one. But if I'm listening to that, Leonard Skinner is so like, to me, being from Southern California, it's a band that was unfamiliar to me. You know, I mean, I heard my dad listening to it. I heard my uncles listening to it. I remember my best friend Jason and I remember having this argument one time with their parents that you need to, if you're going to like Leonard Skinner, you have to also love the Allman Brothers. And I didn't realize it till later that they were right. Like you have to like both of them. But for me, that would be a Woodford Reserve. That would be a like classic Woodford Reserve or a Buffalo Trace. That would just be something I just want to sit there and listen to. And I'm like, it's a people's type of drink, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So those would be the first ones. Now, if I'm pulling out like Rancid or Social Distortion that have both on vinyl as well, I'm probably gonna go with something a little bit like a Blanton's 105, which is the gold top, or Straight from the Barrel. Maybe a little bit of Wild Turkey, one of the premier bottles, you know, that something like that. Something different is what I'm gonna go with that.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
All right, David. So if you're listening to some music, whether it's vinyl, CD, or something, tell me, what do you pull out first? You pulling out the sipper, or you finna select your music choice?
I think what I would do is I would pick the music first and then match the whiskey to taste, because I have a bigger selection of whiskey or whatever than.
That's because of who?
The most humble guy I know.
Goddamn PhDs, I tell you, huh?
Just saying.
PhDs, yeah.
Just saying that 66 bottles came to you.
More than likely, yeah. Most of them I still have at this point, not all of them, but yeah.
But he also has some great bottles that I didn't have anything to do with. I mean, I was over there and I was like, you got some of this. I want to try that, you know?
Yeah, which is cool. I like that you get to come over and appreciate things I have, because in your own way, you're a little bit of a bourbon snob. One thing I would say is, like, none of the whiskeys you described tonight are what most people would put in the daily sipper category. Like 99.9% of the population will understand that there's a tax bracket difference here that has a lot to do with that. One of the things that I want to say is one of the aspects of a daily sipper is that it is affordable and easily available, that I can go to most, maybe not every liquor store, but I can go to most liquor stores and find those kinds of bottles that I'm really
looking for. That's what I said. I said daily sippers, and I said, because I'm trying to do this whole paycheck to paycheck thing this year.
No.
I said Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve, and then Bardstown, one of the Origins. That's what I said.
Gotcha.
All of those.
But you were just describing like George Stagg and all the other ones.
No. We were talking about if I was pulling out rumors.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a different question. Okay, so none of this is daily sipper category. I think for me, yeah,
Peter Frampton would also be a GTS. Like when you're listening to.
I kind of get like the vibe of what you're saying. My thought is that I would want to go with something heavier, probably something a little more unique to start off, so I can enjoy the experience. Like, imagine if I was listening to like Tool or Pussifer or something like that, and I was just like in kind of a mood to just vibe out to some music. I would probably pick something that's a little bit more robust, like one of my fancier bourbons that I have here, mostly because of you. But like something like that, and then I might move on to something else and switch it up a little bit. Maybe go with something a little more mid-range, like as I continued on. So because for me, what I'm enjoying, it's like I don't want to just I don't hit the same bottle all night. I'm going to have one drink out of one bottle, then I'm going to go to something else, and then something else after that.
No, I agree with you. It's like one of the things I learned this weekend that I never thought about ever in my life. I never thought about this. Because it kind of everything I just said just kind of went against it, right? And that is when we got to the restaurant this weekend for Suits Night, Michelle had said to me, she was like, she was ordering this wine. I said, you know what? We'll just have 2 of those. And it's a white wine. And I was like, why are we going white first? She goes, if you go with a heavy red wine to start out with, you'll ruin your palate and you have to stay with it the whole time. And that kind of goes the same when you're thinking about certain things that you would listen to, and you'd pair it up with that. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Never thought about it that way, because I do like when I said rumors, I immediately said GTS, Old Carter, something like that, you know. But really what you should do is probably go with something a little lighter, start out with. But I think for me, it takes me back to, here's where it's a little bit different. It takes me back to that moment in time when I first heard that, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of like probably a childhood memory. It might be a memory that I had with my pops or my aunt or whomever, right? Like Rumors, for example, that album. I remember my aunt wearing it out all the time, playing it all the time. And I love my aunt. I really do. My mom's sister. I really love her. She's a wonderful lady. But I'm going to tell you what, she almost made me hate Fleetwood Mac, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. Lindsey Buckingham, if you're a guitarist, if you're a musician, one of the greatest musicians of all time, Lindsey Buckingham. And I remember sitting there and every time I'd go over there to because when I was a kid, sometimes when I would go over to her house, I would clean her house for her and stuff like that. And she was very persnickety about stuff. Like you had to clean her mirrors with newspaper. Like I know that's a foreign thing to most young people. But like all of this stuff. And then she would play that in the background and she would just be sitting there just drinking herself or whatever. Right. Yeah. And while I'm sitting there manually cleaning her freaking, her mirrors with newspaper, specifically the black and whites. I don't know why I still don't today know what that did for the mirror, but I do know that that's what she wanted. And I remember thinking, man, I hate
Is it something about the paper? It doesn't cause streaking or something?
It's something about that. But I just remember going, this is like, I hate this band. I hate them because it's just all day long, all things. But if you ask me today, who are like some of my favorite bands of all time, Queen's number 1 because of Freddie Mercury, for sure. Mm-hmm. Who is number 2 because of, Pete Townsend. I love that guy. That was the guy that inspired me to play guitar, for sure. Now, when you start getting from like 3 to 5, it can be Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones could be in there, and then of course Fleetwood Mac, and it's all because of guitarists. Like I love Lindsey Buckingham. Like he is one of my favorite guitarists of all time. He plays uniquely, and it's kind of like Dire Straits. I forget that guy's name, but the guy that plays guitar for Dire Straits, they play so uniquely, and you sit there and you listen to it, and you're like, wow. But I would tell you, if you go back to 7, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, I don't know what the child safety laws were during that time that she had me doing all this stuff for. During those ages, I would probably say I absolutely loathe with my entire soul Fleetwood Mac. And I will tell you today, it's one of my favorite bands I've ever listened to in my life.
That's hilarious.
Well, and things that happen to you as a child definitely, I think, can influence you. I can remember my uncle putting me in his green. And this green, I've never seen a more hideous green, but it was like a factory color. But he would always put me in the front seat. And it was so crazy because I can never remember being in a seat though. And my uncle would just take me with him. Like my grandmother would be upset.
What were you riding in though? Green what?
A Nova.
A Nova, okay.
A Tudor Nova.
Nova.
Yeah. Chevy Nova, yeah.
So, and my grandma would be upset because we'd be gone from like 10 o'clock in the morning to like 6 o'clock at night. And, for a small kid to be out, that's a long time, Like, where are you going that long? Where have you been,
It's funny you bring that up because, like, my dad, he used to, like, just go for a drive. Like, he would always call it, let's just go for a drive. Me and you, we'll just go for a drive. And so, like, Sundays, that was his day he liked to drive. That was, like, his truly down day. And dude, we would listen to everything like Jim Croce, one of my favorite artists, storytellers of all time. And it would go from that to like the Beach Boys. He loved the Beach Boys, and then he also loved Jimmy Buffett. I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Buffett because my dad wore that shit out, but he did. And but anyway, I remember as a child just going for drives, and just my dad would just play this music, and it would just be on.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is today I was listening to one of the shorts on YouTube, and they were talking about some of the people that have gone bankrupt. That have been country artists, like some top country artists. And I remember him used to loving Tanya Tucker, and then also Sammy Crenshaw, and both of those guys went, like, they're worth less than most people on the street right now. I mean, it's just amazing what they're worth, you know. And you sit there and look at him, and you're like, wow, that is amazing. Like Sammy Crenshaw, I think he filed bankruptcy like 7 times. Like,
I mean, just because you're good, I mean, it's like, you know, professional, like sports players. It's like, just because you're good at a thing doesn't mean you're good at money too, right? Like,
well, that's absolutely true.
The famous story about, you know, like Twisted Sister, like fucking Dee Snider ended up writing Christmas songs for Celine Dion, like, because, you know, the guy who filed his teeth sharp as part of Twisted Sister is writing Christmas music, like, because he was bad with his money. Like, he's okay as far as I know or whatever, and that's good for him. But like, that shit happens. A lot of people who play professional sports, they live large on all those millions of dollars because they're 20-something years old, and you can't tell them nothing. And then they get injured, or you know, they get a DUI or whatever, you know, and the ride's over. Like,
so like when I was a professional musician, that's when I learned about what's that?
Or several DUIs.
Well, I never got one of those, but knock on wood. But what I was going to say is that's what I learned about. You know, I was just hired gun, and they paid you a per diem essentially, and they paid you per performance. So like the band maybe stand, for example, let's say we're in Nashville, they may be staying at the JW Wellington or whatever, and I'm staying at the freaking Motel 6 because that's what my per diem would pay for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting here looking at the difference between 5-star and there's a crack whore outside my door.
They wouldn't let you like party with them?
No, I partied with them. No, I totally did that. But what I'm saying is, when you look at per diem, what I could afford was so much different from what they were staying in. Like the label would put them up in these really nice things, and I'm not even remotely exaggerating. When I was staying with them, not staying with them, when I was going back to my place, which I had to get a cab ride to, there would be crack whores outside my room. Like, and it was one of those kind of places where your door was open to like the courtyard, to like the street, you know. So it was ridiculous, but
right there.
Yeah. And so when people ask me all the time, they're like, "So did you make a lot of money doing that?" I'm like, "No, you made no money doing that. There's no money."
So let me finish off the topic. So for me, if I'm going to drink something and listen to some music, I think it all depends on the mood I'm in. If I know I have a big event coming up the next day and I'm kind of trying to calm my nerves, because I do, like, I picked up this past weekend, which if people don't know, it was new release. It was record store weekend this past weekend.
I had no idea that.
So there's this record store in Delray, which is about 30 minutes from me. So they had all the new releases, stuff like that, you know, new old stock. And they had this one section where all the albums were like $2. So, and you would think, all right, they're $2, they're going to probably be trashy and whatnot. But these things were in like pristine condition. And I picked up Chuck Mangione. I picked up like 4 of his albums, like stuff you can't even find.
Right.
So for me, some smooth jazz, which don't have vocals, it's just instruments,
just
you
music,
know?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna do something like that, it's really something low proof, like an actual Buffalo Trace. If I'm in the mood for like something from the 80s, I'll usually step it up a little bit, maybe like some Eagle Rare or some Remus or something like that. I don't do the champagne, but when I'm listening to Sade, it's the Belvini every single time. Because to
I love that
me,
Balvenie. I need to get another
the
bottle of that too.
Belvini, the Caribbean Cask, when I first had it, I was listening to Sade the first time I had it. And what I thought about it was this bottle, this pour was very sexy. Like it seduced you. Like a really good cigar will seduce you the minute that flame hits the foot of the cigar and that first initial aroma of the cigar that you get, it romances you, it seduces you, it brings you in. So that's what the Belvini, the Caribbean Cask, did for me. So every time I'm listening to Sade, it's that. And listen, I'm such a Sade fan. I went to her concert in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach, back to back to back, by myself. Because Sade is one of those people that it's been 10 years since I've been to that concert. And you don't know if you're gonna get another one. Now she's
Well,
going into
remember,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So
has to
it's
be
like
10 years. Has to be
That's
10
pretty
years
awesome.
since their
Yeah.
last performance.
So for me it's that. But you talk about the childhood memories, driving around with my uncle. The one thing I do remember is he would always go see all his girlfriends. So we go visit like 3 or 4 different women. Hey, go sit on the couch. I'll be back. I know what that meant. And then he would go hang out with his friends and shoot dice. So here I am, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years old.
I remember
Learning all about the adult world, huh?
I remember my
Yeah.
folks. So like my folks would take me down to in San Diego. They would take me to a couple of the areas that had government housing, and I played bones. So that was my thing. I love playing bones, which is dominoes. If people that don't know, and so when I moved to Tennessee, I was like, hey, is there anybody that plays bones around here? And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, dominoes. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, dominoes, man. Like, you slam it down, like dominoes. You know what I'm saying? And which is funny because that was during my ice house days. So when I would do that, we'd go play. And like one of my best friends, a guy named KD Anderson, I'll never forget him. The biggest black man I've ever seen in my life. He was my 6 on everything. I'm not even playing like
You told me about him. Huh?
Yeah, like I don't think he could swim. I think he just moved water out of the way. Like this guy could just do it. And so he was like, man, I never hung out with white folks before, and I'm like, he was from Compton, California, and he's like, I never hung out with white folks before. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what that means, but I think it means you don't hang out with people like me. I'm like, let's do this night. And so me being the funny guy I am, I'm like, me and Katie getting ready to hang out. We're getting ready to watch a football game in the middle of the night because we were living in Japan at the time and on Camp Foster. And so anyway, he shows up in my room. We decide we're going to meet in my room. We live in these dorms, overseas, and he's going to meet in my room. And I had a shower cap on, a wife beater, and I had on like my navy shorts, and then I had on skids.
Why the hell did you need a shower cap? First of all,
no, I had hair, but still at the same time, it was only because of what I was trying to make him feel comfortable of. He's like, GD, Jody, all black folks ain't like that. I'm like, really, real quick, what are you wearing? He goes, well, I'm wearing it because I have a perm, And I'm like, I don't even know if that's Navy regs. I really don't. Not gonna tell on you because you're like 6'12", 7 foot tall, right? And you're every bit of 425 pounds. And when he told me he could swim, I was like, I really don't believe that's true. I want to see you in the pool. And no, there's no buoyancy there. I truly believe he just beat the water out of the way and walked across the bottom. Like what's his name that split the seas? Was it Noah? Split the seas? I think
Moses?
that's Moses. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not Noah. Moses. Yeah. Like this split the seas. He just like, I'm coming through. Like Mike Tyson during his heyday. Like you didn't want to be there for it, but it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And that's totally how he was, man. He was, and I love Katie. Katie's one of my favorite people in the entire world. I'll never forget. We got so he was like, I want you. He'd never been to Tijuana. He's from Compton, California. He'd never been to Tijuana. We were in North Island. He was like, which is in San Diego. He's like, hey man, you gonna take me to Tijuana? I'm like, I take you to Tijuana. And so we walk across the border. Then you get in a cab, and he's like, and I'm like, where you want to go? And he goes, he just tells the guy, he's like, I want to get some Yahoo, right? And Yahoo meaning,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, oh man. So we drive forever. Like we're driving out in the desert at this point. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get killed. Except for I'm with KD, right? And so
like you're driving out to the desert for some Yahoo. Isn't that like where they filmed Bordello's Blood?
Dusk Till Dawn was for sure filmed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so we get out there and he's like, I'm gonna hook up with this one. I'm like, you're gonna kill her. You really are. And he's like, you gonna hook up one? I'm like, I'm really not. This is not something I do. And he goes, will you stand outside the door? I'm like, sure I will. Dude, it was 45 minutes of that woman screaming. All right. Like just because it was just I don't know what it looked like, but it was just too much, I'm sure. You know.
And then your brain, apparently.
And then he comes out and he's like, that's the best $20 ever. I'm like, I don't know if that's true. But okay. And so
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, I'm 1,000% sure I'm not gonna go anything. I'm like, but here's where we're at. We're in the middle of a place that none of us know the local language. I can order a burrito. That's about all I can do. All right. All right. That's not gonna get us back to the border. And I felt like we drove for an hour. Like we're a long way from the border. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we walked. I bet we walked 15 miles before we actually got picked up and went back to Tijuana. I don't know where we were. I have no idea. But anyway, Katie, I love that guy. Katie Anderson, if you're out there listening, just know that I miss us, man. We had a great time. We also had a great time in freaking Kuala Lumpur. He was like, this was right after that. He was like, hey, let's go out in Kuala Lumpur. And so when we were out in Kuala Lumpur, I think I've told this story before. We stayed at the Princess Palace, which is right across the street from the two tallest buildings in the world. They're twin towers, and they were made by the Koreans and the Japanese. I think the Koreans finished first. I don't remember it, but they have a bridge at 75.
It goes between
75. I think story 75 or whatever, right? And he was like, let's go out in town. I'm like, let's do it. And so we get in this car with this turban. We found out that's what their religion is, turban. That's what it's called. It's called a turban. He wears a turban.
Religion is called turban?
Yes, legit called turban. And so, that's what he told us. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he told us that night. And so we're driving on the freeway. We'll call it the freeway. And this guy's, I swear to Christ, everything holy. I am not lying about this. Me and Katie are in the back. He's leaning in the car. I will be honest. The car's kind of slightly listening to the right because Katie's over there. But this turban guy, he's talking. He's going. We told him we want to go see some women, this, that, and whatever. And then he's driving in the freeway in the fifth lane on the freeway. All right, the fifth lane, and they drive on the same side of the road as us. So they're driving. He's driving way over here, and we're going fast in this little car that's made out of carpet, probably. All right. And so he sees these mopeds on the freeway.
Uh-huh.
I am not lying to you. He steers straight across and hits one of them. And all he says is, fuck those guys. That's all the English he knows. All right. That's all he knows is English. And I'm like, are we part
casual,
of
just casual, vehicular homicide right there?
I feel like we might be part of this. We might be
let's kill him.
We might be wanted by Interpol.
Can you just take us to the embassy now?
You're on the
at this point, I feel like
hitting someone on the moped.
We are definitely witnesses at the absolute. And so he takes us. And so we paid him American dollars. So he was our boy the whole night. All right. And so he takes us this place and he goes, go into that bathhouse, knock on the wall, third shower or something like that when you walk in there. So there's a bunch of like Indonesian men naked in here. Me and him walk in and we're like dressed up. And he knocks on the wall and the wall opens up. And there's these guys, all like mafia looking people, like they got guns on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And they got like Uzis over their freaking, I mean, all this stuff, right? Like, and I'm like, I think we're probably screwed here. This is not a good place for us to be. He's like, let's go in. I'm like, I don't think this is good, KD. I really don't. I don't think this is the place we need to be. He's like, let's do it. I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I don't want to do it, but we're going to do it. We get in there and they're like, so you want to buy some women? I'm like, sure. Let's put on the government express card. So I did. I put on American Express, government, American Express. And dude, I almost got kicked out of the Navy for this shit. So I had this like $200 charge. $200 charge that says to this place that just like it's on the registry. We'll just call it. All right. And it's this place. It's this place. It's this place. And they're like, so what was this about? I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, you gonna pay this? I'm like, I'm gonna pay it. I'm gonna pay this off. And they're like, so did you get cash there? I'm like, got no cash there. And they're like, it shows you got cash there. I'm like, I might have got cash there. I don't know. So I mean, if you're telling me I got cash there, I probably got cash there. But so what'd you get cash for? I'm like, dude, there was people with it was a very classy place. And I was just trying to be as cordial as humanly possible because I was not trying to upset our host country. All right. So because we're there for Cobra Gold. Anyway, it turned out
you should have done what I did. And when the receipts come back, it just says lobster bisque.
It didn't say lobster bisque. It literally said the name of the
well, I turned it into my company
of a CIA named terrorist organization.
Yeah, that's who they were. But
and they had guns on them. And I remember me and CD, we were like riding back, and we were so quiet with Turban, oh boy, and hopefully he wasn't going to run over anybody. And we were riding back, and he was like, "What do you think about that?" And I'm like, I'm not sure what we called that. I'm glad we didn't do anything that could potentially be a national event or a international event, I should say.
In charge of treason.
Right.
But like everybody was more armed than we were, and we had no guns. Like we're in a different country, we can't even carry guns. You know what I'm saying? And they're taking us to the Princess Palace, which is literally, so the reason why I was telling you about it's across the street from the Twin Towers. The Princess Palace in Indonesia, in Kuala Lumpur, is right there on the corner. We're right here. Literally his personal palace. Staying in his personal hotel. Like it's awesome. You have room service, you can order anything you want, and this, that, and whatever. And I was like, oh my God. I think we just hung out with the Indonesian mob. And he's like, I think it might have been worse than that. I'm like, I think you might be right, Katie. I was trying to make it sound a little bit more pleasant than what you said. But anyway, so yeah. So Katie Anderson, if you're out there listening, just know I still love you, man.
And reach out, Katie.
One of my greatest people ever in Compton, California. He grew up in the hood, and he was like, we're gonna. After he found out I would take him to the deepest, darkest place out in the desert of Tijuana, he was like, you're my boy.
Yeah. All right, guys. I got to get ready to call it.
Yeah.
Let's call it night. Like, love, share us, subscribe, be part of this.
Do all that.
This motley crew. Anyway,
all right.
This was fun.
Be good to yourselves, everybody.
Good time. We had a good time.
There you go. You guys.
Later.
Cheers, everyone.
I made it too.
Good thing no one watches.